And that's why I started riding. Welcome back to Big Life, Little Effort. My name is David, and in today's episode, I'm going to tell you the story about how I came across owning a RGV 250 Team Suzuki motorcycle. So make sure you stick around right until the end of this video because I've added some clips of the great Kevin Schwantz 500cc Grand Prix legend. So how I came across my Suzuki RGV 250 in all Team Suzuki livery, I was at Eastern Creek Raceway and with my all access pass. I know, right? It was great. I was there to watch the Eastern Creek 500cc Grand Prix and of course our heroes for Australia, you know, our Wayne Gardners, our Mickey Doohans, and of course you've got your Wayne Braineys and your Kevin Schwantzes, Kevin McGee's, all the great stars of 500cc. And I was there ready to watch Mickey Doohan, Michael Doohan, 5 times 500cc Grand Prix world champion, and of course racing his Honda, that one there. And as I walked past the Suzuki tent, there on a rostrum was this beautiful RGV 250 in all the Team Suzuki livery on display. And I looked at that bike, could not take my eyes off it, and I was hooked. That was it for me. I knew I had to have that bike. Now, back in those days, cigarette advertising had become banned, especially here in Australia, and I'm sure other places around the world. So the Lucky Strike insignias and all of those things were changed to Team Suzuki. Now, I went up to the gentleman who was manning the Suzuki tent and asked him about this beautiful RGV 250, and of course said to him, I would like to buy that bike. And he said, currently not for sale, as it was going around the GP circuit for promotional purposes, and at this point in time is not for sale. However, I did get his number and I did follow him up for a couple of months until he gave me the great news that yes, the bike is back in Australia and in Sydney where I was living, and it was currently for sale at a dealership. I, of course, got all the details of the dealership, rang them, made an appointment, jumped on a train one Saturday morning and went over to the dealership. And there, as I was walking from the train station towards the dealership, out the front on the footpath, amongst all the other bikes they had out the front, was this RGV 250 Team Suzuki. He had wheeled it out especially for me. He knew I was coming. And I just looked at this bike and just went, okay, how much? And he told me, and of course, it was higher than a new RGV 250 in its normal colours, and I didn't care. I had to have this bike. So I bought it, and that's how I became the owner of this amazing little motorcycle. And I remember he got the keys, and we started it up, little kickstart, and you could start it with your hand. It was that easy to start, and that sound, that ding, 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 ding sound, and and the smell of the two-stroke, I just loved it. And so I went inside, signed all the paperwork. Of course, I had my helmet and my jacket, etc., with me, and I walked outside and threw my leg over, turned the ignition on, put my foot on that Kickstarter, and whang, off she went. And he looked at me and nodded, and I nodded with my helmet on, and I just gave the rev, and I looked over my shoulder to take off the footpath down the little driveway, and of course, I stalled it. Yes, it was very funny. However, that was my first experience of getting on that bike. It was learning and getting used to the two-stroke and just knowing how to release the clutch and all of those things. Once you got hold of all that, it was a great little bike to ride. It was magnificent. So today I'm going to be talking about what makes these little two-stroke 250s so special and the value of them in today's market. We'll talk about the pros and the cons of owning one of these little 250 two-stroke masterpieces, and especially in limited edition colours. And the big question, are they worth collecting today in 2025? Now, I grew up watching the 500cc Grand Prix on television back in the day when it was really good because they were televised on just normal television, not like today where you have to subscribe to channels to even watch these races, which is unfortunate. However, these little machines were built for outright performance. They were race replicas. Okay, let's talk about this fantastic little motorcycle. So for my notes, let's have a look. So let's talk the history of the Suzuki RGV 250. It was Suzuki's answer to Honda's NSR 250 and Yamaha's TZR 250, built for riders who wanted race-bred performance in a road-legal package. There you go. The 1991 model was a game changer, featuring a V-twin two-stroke power valve technology and the lightweight aluminium frame. This special edition was a tribute to Swanse's Grand Prix winning RGV 500, making it one of the most desirable 250cc two-strokes available anywhere. So what was it like riding one of those little great bikes? And what would it be like riding one if you had one today in 2025? Well, here's the deal. It's an experience like no other, and that is so true. At just 130 kilograms, dry weight with around 60 horsepower. This little thing rips, and it did. Handling, razor sharp. Acceleration, instant. Sound, pure two-stroke heaven. But here's the catch. It's not for the faint-hearted. The RGV rewards aggressive riding, meaning you've got to keep it in the power band to get the best out of it. And that is so true. I remember riding home from work one evening. It was later in the evening, and so there wasn't much traffic on the road, but I was going across a bridge that actually, you came around the bridge, it went up, over the top of the bridge, down, and then you scooted down the other side. And I just turned into the tucked down, and I was just coming around, just slight right hander into and then up on the bridge, and I accelerated, and as I went up on the top of the bridge I came slightly in the air and realised as I was coming down my front wheel was still in the air. It was fantastic. But there you go. So that's the thing. Good fun. And so there you go, yeah, not for the faint-hearted. Now the pros to owning one of these little bikes: incredible handling. Feels like a GP bike for the road, and it was, and is. Power to weight ratio, quick and nimble. Collectible factor, prices are skyrocketing. And in fact, I was having a look just yesterday, and there is one of the earlier race replica models when Pepsi were the sponsors of the Grand Prix 500cc, and Kevin's bike had the Pepsi livery on his bike back then, and this one's going for sale in Australia for just over 50,000 Australian dollars. So there you go. Absolutely incredible how much these prices have gone up for these little RGV 250s. Iconic livery, especially if you've got the Pepsi edition or the Team Suzuki, and you can get the Lucky Strike stickers as well and the decals that you can put on if you prefer. But hey, Kevin Swans, baby, woohoo! Pure rider engagement. No rider aids, just skill. Yeah. Cons: maintenance heavy, regular top end rebuilds. I didn't have to have that work done on mine. It was a great little bike, but little things went wrong, like the Kickstarter. Very, very simple little Kickstarter. As I mentioned before, you could even start it with your own hand rather than your foot, but the little bearing inside of that would go, and so you had to get that replaced. Fuel and oil costs. Burns fuel premix fast, and it did. It went through its fuel. Not beginner friendly, and it requires skill to ride effectively. True story. My first bike, this was not my first bike. I had a little another Suzuki, a GN 250, which I rode around for a couple of years, and tried out a couple of other bikes before I bought my RGV. But it certainly taught me a lot of things riding. I think my cornering, my braking, and just the element of where to look before you turn, use your head, look, and you will go. I learnt all those things riding this little RGV 250, and I to this day I believe it made me a better rider. And there were some moments where it was like, whoa, but that's motorcycling. Collectability and value in 2025 for the Suzuki RGV 250s. Back in the day, an RGV 250 set you back a few grand. But today, a well-preserved Team Suzuki Special Edition can go from anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 US dollars in a road legal package. There you go. The 1991 model was a game changer, featuring a V-twin 2-stroke power valve technology and the lightweight aluminium frame. This special edition was a tribute to Swanse's Grand Prix winning RGV 500. So if you've got one today, I wish I still had mine, put it in your bedroom or your lounge room, wherever, your kitchen. Just hang on to it. Only because they'll end up in private collections and probably will never see the light of day again, sadly. However, it's an investment. So should you buy an RGV 250 2-stroke? Now, my version was the VJ22, had the banana swing arm. Previous models just had the single straight aluminium swing arm, but the banana swing arm was beautiful to look at. It was just awesome. And that was the VJ22 model, which was my Team Suzuki RGV model. So should you buy one in 2025? If you love raw, unfiltered performance and don't mind a little maintenance, hell yeah! But if you're looking for a low maintenance everyday ride, this bike might not be for you. So boys and girls out there, just be aware of all those things, because they are a special motorcycle and you must take care of them, and that means maintenance, regular maintenance, far more probably than you would on the bikes you buy today. Either way, there's no denying that the Suzuki RGV 250 remains a legend, a 2-stroke masterpiece that still turns heads and sets hearts racing today. Do you own an RGV 250, or are you thinking of getting one? Drop me a comment below. Tell me your experience of owning a 250cc RGV or any of the 250cc's bikes from that era. So there you go. There's some history and some pros and cons on owning one of these bikes. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends, and drop me a comment. I'd really love to know what sort of bikes you like to own, and also any experience you've had with some of those 250 Gammas. My name is David, and I look forward to seeing you in our next episode of Big Life, Little Effort. We'll have a look at some other bikes. So wherever you are in the world, take care and I look forward to seeing you next time. Ciao for now.
This section of corners seems to really separate the men from the boys. First gear, the bike just wants to spin the tire the whole time. Back to first gear, stop it, back over the stripe, just run it around with my knee going, skipping off the curb. So you've got to watch for wheel spin and give you a little kick out of the saddle. It's an easy place to make a mistake and end up skipping down the road.